Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. Trying to get everything stick together over here. So, see if you see it. I am right now in my computer room, online like I said to I would this time. I'm trying it something a little bit different this time. I'm on my big computer. My video editor machine that I did the last couple lives is this one back here. Yeah, you can see it now. But I wasn't satisfied with the video or the sound, so I'm on my big machine. So, the subject for this particular one this time, for my Facebook Live, and I don't know was anybody online. Nobody's online yet. That's a bummer. See what I can do. Hello Larry, I see you're online. So, I guess I might as well go on with my Facebook Live. Anybody who has any questions or any... I'll start with my own comment. Good evening. Any questions or critiques? So, what I did on this one here, on this particular video log on Facebook Live for Paranormal Investigations, again, I'm trying to come up with subjects and stuff and things to talk about. For any of you guys that decide you might want to get into this, and it is a lot of fun. I did find out one of the things I have noticed, and they're getting more, finally getting better on it now, is this term that they call debunked while they're doing an investigation, which means that they thought it might have been a spirit, but after checking a little bit closer, they found out that it was a dust or flashlight or whatever come through. So when you're doing an investigation, there's a lot of things in the background that you should be just plain be aware of. And it's not a rule, nothing hard fast. Really, there's nothing, no rules or hard fast anything about doing a paranormal investigation. Again, mostly it's just fun. I do it for the fun of it. But I'm going to get into some things just to make you aware of, the things to watch out in the background. I'm really into, if something does happen and I do catch something, I want to be very credible and be able to find out, make sure without a doubt that I've crossed my T's and dotted my I's and stuff. So if somebody does ask a question, or I don't believe that happened, can I have a copy of your video or your picture, whatever? And I feel pretty safe about myself. So anyway, I got my notes over here. The objective is just to make sure things that might, things that could interfere with your investigation, that are natural or man-made, that you should just be aware of, and to know that they're out there and how to avoid them. Mostly, there's a lot of man-made and natural interferences for your equipment that you're doing, your video, your audio, your camera, whatever. There's a lot of background interference and electromagnetic, and sound sources in the background. And you should be aware of these things so that when you go back and take a look at them, or think you see something, or think you hear something that you know for doubt that it might be paranormal and you didn't just something didn't interfere with you. So, these are my suggestions and the things that I do when I start my investigation, and some things, again, just to be made aware of. As I stated for someone who, as I stated earlier on the phases of an investigation, when you're doing your daytime baseline walkthrough, make sure you take a lot of pictures. Take an audio recorder with you too. Pay attention to sources that could give you some trouble later on when you go back that night and do your actual investigation. So pay attention to things like roads, streets, that you could have traffic go by and give you some problems. Is there a bridge near where you're at when you're about to do it? Bridges create a lot of noise and a lot of strange noises and stuff that your audio recorder might pick up and you didn't hear it. And other structures or buildings that might be near the area. For example, it would be difficult to do an EVP or play around with one of your spirit boxes if you're right across the street from a power company. So look for power cables, power transformers. Oh, another one, TV or radio stations, and I'll be getting into that later on also. If you're inside a building, also be aware of and know about is the air conditioner or the heat on or off. Refrigerators, there's another one. Is there a Wi-Fi area close to you or in the house? And surprisingly enough, your own cell phone. Your cell phone can drive your digital recorder nuts. So be careful if you have your digital recorder and it's right next to your cell phone and you think you're picking up an EVP, and really what you're doing is you're picking up noise that your cell phone's putting into your audio recorder. So that was for electromagnetic interferences. Now you got audio noise sources to be careful of and watch out for, just to be aware of. Is there any other people there? Where are your other people if you're not alone doing your investigation? So when they speak, you don't think it's a ghost. Anybody in the surrounding area? Are you in a building and you got two houses, one on each side of you, and they're like 10 feet apart? Traffic can really cause you a lot of trouble. Yes, weather. Weather's important also. Is it windy? Is it raining? And of course, again, appliances. You'd be surprised, but get near your air conditioner, or if it's really, really quiet in your house, listen to your refrigerator when that sucker first kicks on or when they turn off. They make a heck of a sound. And these auto recorders, they will pick that up. So you're sitting there doing an EVP and the air conditioner kicks on, or a refrigerator kicks on, or some other appliance kicks on, and you pick up something and now you're trying to figure out, well, was that an EVP? Or, oh no, crap, that was a refrigerator, crap. Okay. Another thing, really, really important that I've seen, it happens on the TV sets all the time. It's hilarious with all these guys because they run into the same problem. Before you do any of your investigation, double check the batteries. Make sure that if it's rechargeable, make sure you just freshly charge it up. Or batteries, make sure you've got extra batteries. One of the reasons for that is anything that's electronic, no matter what it is, when it gets low battery, they're not very reliable, they're erratic, and you really don't know what they're going to do. So the last thing you want is be taking some good pictures and low battery, or during one of the pictures your batteries just die. That picture is totally invalid because it could go. When they're dying or on low battery, you've got all kinds of noise being injected because the device or the audio recorder is still trying to work, but it doesn't have the battery power to do its job. So double check on your batteries. Okay, so now we'll get into now I want to get into the different types of noise. So, on your audio recorder, a couple things just to be aware of in the background, depending on how much detail you want to take towards your investigation. Matter of fact, on these audio recorders that you buy, I got my two over here. I recently upgraded to a newer, better recorder, but I did so for these particular reasons, and I'm going to tell you right now. Let me get them out. Okay, so here's your situation you got to be careful of on your audio recorders. Number one, does it have a plastic case or does it have a metal case? And again, the reason for this, the metal case is for that electrostatic or electromagnetic interference. You remember that you guys have, from time to time, especially when it starts getting chilly, you get real dry, and you pick up something or you touch a friend and it's really dry in the wintertime or whatever, you get that spark. Well, imagine what that does to your recorder. And again, same thing, differences between metal and plastic on the audio recorder is they're less susceptible to outside electromagnetic noises. Okay. All right, the microphone. This is another thing you guys got to watch out for too, the microphone. Just giving this information to you, don't get me wrong. All right, this is an Olympus. Put it up here. See? Okay. And here is the microphone. Okay. One of the things to be careful of, don't get me wrong, the Olympus is a good audio recorder. This was my first one. I still use it sometimes. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll even use both recorders at the same time. But as far as the microphone is concerned, one of the things you got to be careful of is the differences between the lower end audio recorders and the higher end. Okay, on this Olympus, the microphone is physically mounted to the case. So in other words, whatever happens to the case goes to the microphone. So you got to be careful. Like for example, you don't want to stick this thing inside your coat pocket and have it running around, because everything that happens in the coat pocket or whatever happens in here, or when you rub it or something like that, it goes directly as being recorded, because the microphone is hard mounted to the case of the audio recorder. Now then, this is the one that I just bought. This is my upgrade. This is called a Vista. It's my new fancy dancy audio recorder. Now then, pay attention. Here is the microphones. The microphones are on the top. And I'm trying to get my left together. Yeah. Microphones are on the top. Now then, the microphones on this one is completely isolated from the frame of the audio recorder. So no matter what happens here, the microphone's not going to pick it up. Another thing to be aware of is that if it's windy or raining, again, here's the microphone on my Olympus, and there's no windscreen. So be careful about a windscreen will mess you up big time. Because just here you are doing a recording, and you go back to listen to the recording, and all you're hearing is a bunch of noise because the wind's blowing through or it's making a whistle. This one doesn't have a windscreen. This one, my new one, does have a windscreen. And you'll see the springs on both ends isolating the microphone itself from the case. You can have dots of rain. A drop of rain on one of these audio recorder touching or hitting the microphone itself or the case of the microphone is an incredible sound because it's a multiplied a couple hundred times. You don't have this problem on my newer one because it's got a windscreen and it's also got these guards. So I can't accidentally, you can accidentally touch or tap this one, see, right here. It don't take much to be holding it, and then just because I'm holding and trying to do what I want to, and then suddenly I accidentally tap the mic. And again, the case is directly connected to the mic with no isolation on this one. So it hears everything I'm doing, which is not the case on this one. So my new one's got a windscreen. It's also got a the microphone is isolated from the base of the body. Mechanically. And yeah, my original Olympus is mono, and the new microphone, the new audio recorder, has 2 different microphones. It's separate. The only thing for that is if you're holding, when you're doing your recorder, and I'm using my stereo one, when you start to play it back and it picks up something, you can tell which, was it to my left, was it to my right. The Olympus, my first audio recorder, is mono, so it does a good job. It picks up everything. I've picked up some good stuff from it. But the stereo one, now I have a lot more. The microphone in your recorder is better quality, and it's also a lot more sensitive. Okay. A lot of them, these recorders nowadays, though, this is if you want to get technical, okay? You can either sit there and do your EVP session or whatever, and then play it back on it. I don't recommend that, but of course, a lot of, even on the television shows, you see it a lot because look at the speaker. The speaker here is about the size of a quarter. And this thing here, the grill on the bottom is a speaker. So, you know, you see it a lot, and they play it back on the audio recorder speakers, but they're not that great. What I always do is I always take my, when I get done, and I hold them, is I'll bring them back into the computer. And then from the computer, then I'll play it back, because I've got this audio software, and I've really got, you can't see the speakers behind me, but yeah, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. I bought some really good high quality speakers that really play loud, so I can really blow myself out of the room if I have to. And I take all my EVPs and I pull them off of the audio recorder and bring them into the computer, and then I do an analysis on it. That's the way I do it. Problem with that is, and here's what I found out on this one. On my Olympus, trying to take the audio off of the Olympus is a major pain in the rear end, because all you got on this is, if you can see it, yeah, come on, focus. Well, you can see the 1/8" jack. So what I needed, the only way that I can take the audio off of my Olympus is I bought an adapter, and it plugs in from the Olympus headphone jack into the line input of my computer. And here's the problem too, if you're going to try to do it that way. If you'll notice nowadays, laptops and computers nowadays, it used to be we had a speaker out, we had something called a line in, and you had something called a microphone in that you could, if you wanted to plug in a microphone. They don't have that anymore. If you have a microphone, most of the time on the laptops, the microphone is built in, so you don't have an external jack. I had to buy a sound card and stuff for my audio workstation so that I can transfer the audio recorder from the Olympus into the laptop, into my computer, so I can bring it into the audio analysis software. And That's time consuming. You hit play, you let it do it, and you can't move anything, because if you move any of the cables, it'll be noisy. So it's a pain in the rear end. You can do it if you're really cautious, and I've got it down pat. But my new audio recorder, it looks to the computer like an external drive. So it's got a USB plug on the side of it, and I plug it into the computer sees all the audio recordings, brings it into the computer, and then I'm done. So, and then again, it depends on how accurate and technical you want to get. I can spend, on one session, I can spend probably 2 or 3 days going over the audio. Because I'm a real stickler. I want to find something, and if I do find something, I'm going to go over it and I'm going to beat it to death to see if I can explain it away, why that sound ended up on my audio recorder. Was it outside interference, outside noise, or is it, my term and the way I look at it is simple. If I get anything on a picture or on a video or get an audio, and I look at something that don't quite look right or sound right, I'll technology nitpick it to death, and if I can't explain it, then it's paranormal. It's period. If you can't explain it, it's paranormal. And that's why a lot of times, again, it blows my mind, because like I said, I have picked up stuff on this Olympus, in which when I was doing the audio recording, I didn't hear some things that was happening, and then when I went back and did the audio analysis of it later on, it picked up something that I didn't hear. You're like, oh my God, really? I picked up an EVP. And yes, I have picked up actual EVPs. And everything that I do when I go out on a paranormal investigation, I download everything onto I have a server drive here at the house. And so I can go back anytime I want to and look at them again, or replay them, or listen to them again. So, and I save them permanently, because you never know. So that's the thing. Another thing to be careful of when you decide you want to go that way. Cell phones, it's digital. Another thing to look for, well, yeah, the formats, but that can, man, just the formats and all this stuff, I can do a 1 hour live thing just on the cotton picking formats that you do on, MP3, WAV, JPG, MK4, AVI, all the different formats. It can drive you nuts. Okay, so next. When you're doing your EVPs, this is again suggestions from experience. When you're doing things and you're asking questions and you're talking back and forth and you want to use your hands, people sometimes have a tendency to take the audio recorder and stick it into their pocket. Don't do that. Because now it's picking up, maybe these things are that sensitive that in your shirt, it could possibly pick up your heart rate. Every time you move, the cloth of the shirt is rubbing against the frame, either the microphone or the case, and now you're picking that up. Another thing is, be careful how you set it down if you decide to set it down someplace, which a lot of these people do. Don't set your audio recorder on anything that's metal or wood. Reason being is that these low frequencies that these audio recorders can pick up, and you could accidentally mistake them for being an EVP. Could have happened. A truck going across the road, a car driving by, an 18-wheeler driving over a bridge. Those sounds can travel for miles through the ground. And if you've got your audio recorder directly sitting on something like a piece of metal, or you got it directly on the floor, which is cement or metal, and you might not be picking up an EVP, but you're picking up a truck going by or a car driving by, or somebody in another room walking across a hardwood floor. That's a real good one. So when you do decide to set it down, which a lot of us do, try to keep it in your mind to put some kind of a piece of cloth or whatever, so that the audio recorder isn't exactly sitting right directly on a wooden table or a metal table or directly on the floor. Put something, I don't know, a glove, a towel, you know, just something to isolate them a little bit. So yeah, that about does it for. Again, this is man-made or natural interferences and audio that you're not aware of, that just to listen to. Again, things like a car going by, you have to be careful. What I usually do, if I'm talking or one of my friends are talking that's with me on the investigation, or a car goes by or a truck or something like that, when it does, I'll make a remark on the audio recording. It's 7:10 p.m. car just drove by. That's what you're picking up. So that when I'm listening to that, I know what that noise is. So I'll time or date stamp that noise so it doesn't interfere. So that pretty much takes care of anything man-made or natural for outside interferences for audio recordings. Now let's get to videos or pictures. Okay. Depending on how much you want to get into video, it can get confusing. It took me a while. I've gone through probably in the last 5 years 4 different cameras, and upgrading the camera, because every time you buy a cotton picking camera, it comes out something better. Anyway, not only the camera quality and expenses themselves, but now because of technology and prices going down, normal people like you and me who aren't rich can grab a hold of some of the technology now that 3 or 4 or 5 years ago was just out of our price range. Just a few years ago, buying, okay, well, first of all, let's go into it. There's your regular cameras, regular light, with all the different resolutions, and that's a whole different world. I'm not a camera expert. I don't know about all this ISOs and all that kind of stuff if you want to be a professional camera person. No, I'm not. So anyway, you've got normal light cameras, which is just the normal, you know, they do the job. You've also got something called low light. So those are going to be just a little bit more expensive. They're more sensitive. You can take them into areas, like for example, right now, the webcam that's on this computer is a Logitech Brio. It's a low light. So believe me, it looks pretty bright in here, but it's kind of dark. That's the good thing about low light cameras. You can take them, but then again, it's when it starts getting the dusk type stuff. Again, when it's just plain dark, it's just plain dark. That's when you get into these other ones. Now you're getting into the infrared camera. An infrared camera, again, those things not long ago were, man, you couldn't touch one for under $1,000. Now you can get them for $200 or $300. An infrared camera can see in the dark, pitch dark. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I'll go into a room or a building and there's no power, when you use that one, you can look through the infrared camera and it's like regular daylight. It takes infrared energy and puts it on the screen so you can see it. And then if you look up, the room is pitch black. So infrared cameras can see in complete darkness, no light. Then you also got something called a thermal camera. I haven't purchased one of those yet because they're still in the plus $1,000 range for a thermal camera. And I've been watching these TV shows, and so far I'm really not impressed by them. And I don't think anybody in any of these TV shows or anyone that I know of that uses a camera has really given me a reason to buy a thermal camera. One of the things to be careful of when you do with the thermal camera is a thermal camera You can walk up to a wall or a chair, and you could put your hand on it and count to 20 and then take your hand off, and the camera will see your handprint for like, geez, 30 minutes, an hour afterwards. You can be in a rather chilly area, let's say in the wintertime, and you're in a building, and let's say it's 40, 30 degrees, and you or someone that you might be with leans up against the wall. That's how sensitive these thermal cameras are. When that person's leaning up against that wall is getting some of the heat, even if you got a coat on, particularly if you're touching it to push off when you're done with the wall. So you'll walk away from the wall and you won't see anything, but that thermal camera will pick up your body. And now you think you see a ghost, because here's a beautiful picture of a human body right there in front of you that the thermal camera's picking up. So you gotta be careful about what these thermal cameras can do. They can be kind of noisy. So it's one, but I don't know. So number one on your cameras when you get ready to do your walkthroughs and stuff, don't forget to clean the lenses. Guilty, been there, done that. As much care as I take to my lenses on my cameras, still for some reason I still double check them to make sure they're clean. Clean the lenses. Beware of when you take your pictures, and when and where. You got to be careful of dust particles. You got to be careful of bugs. That's again when the video analysis software can come into play. You'll see that quite a few times on these television shows in which they'll see something that looks like an orb or whatever going across the room, and it's a mosquito or a bug or something. So you got to be careful of where you're located at. Are you on the outside, inside, what's around you? I mean, I'm sure if you're up in 18-degree weather in Kentucky, you don't have that much problem to worry about for bugs and stuff is concerned. But down here in Florida where I'm at, yeah, even this time of year, the bugs are out. So we gotta be more cautious. So again, just remembering where you are, where you're taking your pictures. I'm starting on my daylight walkthrough. I recommend, and I take a bunch of pictures myself, because really I'm just trying to make sure that I have what is where and what's going on. But when I do my actual investigation, I'll still take pictures, but I prefer video. Video's a lot easier, and if you take pictures, again, this is a recommendation of mine, man, don't use your flash. A flash throws in all kinds of extra stuff that you don't want to get into. Lots of noise. A flash, you can accidentally take a picture of yourself, a reflection. So again, if a flash just throws in, and that's when you'll maybe pick up a lot more. There's a better chance of taking and not being able to debunk a speck of dust going across it. And when you do take a picture, don't take one. Double take them. 2 pictures. Click, click. My particular camera that I got, it can take as fast as 8 pictures in a second. All I gotta do is just hold the button down, and it'll take 8 pictures in 1 second. Usually I'll take 2 or 3. With video, I don't have to worry about it. Again, the thing to worry about for noises and stuff in the background is traffic. You're sitting there, you're doing a video, and you pick up something that looks like it's going across the room, and what you weren't aware of is you didn't see a black shadow go across the room. You saw a car's headlights and their light going across, being bouncing through one of the windows, and that's what you see going across the room is a headlight as the car goes in front of the house. So that part, also if you have someone in there with you, there's more than one of you, make sure everybody knows where everybody else is at, because you don't want your partner to interfere with your video and to give you a false positive. They've got something on these newer cameras that if you're going to use video, it's kind of technical, but you should be aware of. They've got something that these newer, better cameras have got the resolution, and they got something called frames per second that you should be aware of. You want to set the highest resolution you can on your camera and the highest frames per second that you can on your camera. That pretty much reason for that is specifically if you're going to do video analysis later on, the higher the resolution and the higher frames per second, the better, brighter, and clearer your picture is. And I have found out that when you're actually doing video and recording video, you kind of got blinders on and you see here what you're looking at, but something could be happening to the left, to the right, behind, whatever. And that's the beautiful thing about these new high resolution cameras and the high frames per second cameras is you can zoom in on things. Both my new cameras that I just updated to, we can record video at 4K and 60 frames per second. So I can take a picture of somebody right there in front of me, and there can be a plant with a fly sitting on top of it 200 yards from him, and I can zoom in on it and tell you what color the fly is. That's a beautiful thing about these newer cameras. You've also got something when you start playing around. Okay, pictures, you don't have to worry about it. A picture is a picture. They use, when you look at it and bring it in the computer, they have something called a JPEG format. So all your pictures will be in JPEG. Where it can start getting complicated sometimes is video. Oh my goodness. If you ever want to confuse the daylights out of yourself, go to YouTube. Don't Google it, because that's too simple. Go to YouTube and look and type in video camera formats. Oh my God. MOV, MWV, FLV, AVI, WMV, MK4. Oh my God. And be aware of which one's your camera, particularly if you're going to do bring it into analysis to your computer. The computer has to have the files in it to read what the camera sees. So again, like I said, this thing here, if you want to get into it, I'm not going to try to explain it that much in here, because like I said, it can get crazy. I know what my camera does, and even the data took a while, and then I had to make sure that my computer had the what is called a codec. And a codec is what a computer needs to have that tells it how to look at the picture that your camera takes, the video. And different cameras do different things. My cell phone takes pictures in MOV, but my video, my Nikon, I can switch. It's really a headache. I can switch between 2 or 3 different formats on how to save it on my Nikon. My infrared camera, that one saves in MP4. So like I said, just learning about that part when you start getting into video, it can get complicated. Okay. Oh, okay. So when you get after you get done and you got all your recordings and you got it on your computer, you might want to question yourself. Like I said, now as far as these people watching stuff, it is absolutely incredible, because there's a lot of YouTube, ton of YouTube, a lot of Facebook, Twitter accounts. Paranormal is just exploding. And then you'll see a lot of these people that now are uploading a lot of this stuff to accounts. And there's a lot of people, some of these guys, if you'll take a look at in your area, I can even give you a couple names, big paranormal YouTubers in Central Florida. One of them is called the G Team, and believe it or not, G Team stands for girls. It's just 4 or 5 women, and they all have to be female, and they're doing pretty good. They're pretty wild on YouTube. We've got another one called Oh My Gosh, OMV Gosh. I don't know, he's ridiculous to me, but they're pretty big YouTubers in this area, and yes, they're making money. On the paranormal bandwagon, yeah, they're making bucks. So, but that gives a whole new thing too. Now then, if you take this, what do you want to do with your pictures? If you bring them in a computer, you have to be careful with these formats again, because Facebook will only take certain formats and different resolutions. Same thing with YouTube. So if you're going to do this stuff and you want to start bringing it up and uploading it, I thought many times about starting a YouTube channel, but I'm retired and I just don't have it. I don't care. I'm not into making any money on it. It's kind of a hobby. I'm having a lot of fun visiting a lot of places. Like I said again, I've thought more than once about starting a YouTube channel on paranormal with the others, but nah, because also, believe it or not, I'm editing these videos. If you do it that way and you edit a video and set it up and make it all pretty and fancy, this is just live. You know, whatever happens, hiccups, sneeze, whatever. But you start trying to do a good YouTube video and trying to monetize it and stuff, you better have yourself a computer, a workstation, and you better know how to do video editing. And I don't have that interest, and I don't want to be pressured about uploading a video, 1 or 2 videos a week, or 2 or 3 videos a month at a certain time, and then having to deal with all flat, because once you get on doing it this way, that way you get all kinds of other flack from the people sending messages back to you. So, you know, but I do it at the best and highest quality audio recordings I can, because like I said, when I get back to the house and I put it on my workstation back here and I nitpick the daylights out of them, and it can be 1 or 2 weeks looking at pictures, looking at videos, listening to audio, because the thing you can do on a computer that you can't do real life or off of your camera is this thing called enhancing. And that's when you start really nitpicking a video or an audio recording up, or a picture, and start zooming in on things and checking stuff out, and on a video seeing stuff that you didn't see when you were there, like, oh my God. Okay, so anyway, that's again going back to the noises. That was all the man-made and normal noises that you could pick up for video, pictures and stuff. Now you get the other stuff. You have these other electronic devices. You've got your spirit box, you've got your EVP, you've got your REM pods. To understand what those are, again, those devices rely strictly on electrostatic and electromagnetic energy coming through. And it doesn't sense the presence, it senses a change. So when the EVP box senses a ghost or an electromagnetic change as it changes. It doesn't sense it's there, it changes it as it goes by. Now, then the problem you might have for that, like again, if you're doing an investigation in a house and right in front of the house on a telephone pole, not even 20 feet from you, is a power transformer, you might have a problem. Because these things, like again, they're electrostatic and electromagnetic. If you're inside a building, a structure, and it actually has power, you have a problem. An EVP meter, you can go into a house, your house, and turn on your lamp, get your EVP meter right beside you and turn on the lamp, and your EVP meter will jump because that lamp turned on. You created a surge. It will even pick up a power line through a wall. You take an EVP meter, and again, you turn that light back on again, and you go up to where the plug is, and you bring it right up to that plug and stuff, your EVP meter will pick that up. It'll go nuts So you got to be careful about power lines. Same thing, appliances throughout the house, stuff like that. They will drive a spirit box and an EVP meter and a REM pod absolutely nuts. The spirit box you got to be careful of as far as radio and TV stations and cell phone towers. Basically, in a nutpeg, what a spirit box does is it's a piece of equipment that scans AM and or FM radio stations real fast. It goes from the low end all the way to the high end, then it switches, goes back down to the low end, and just continually scans them. The idea behind it is supposedly a ghost can manipulate this electronic energy, and that's how you're picking up voices. Well, the problem is, if you're 100 yards from a radio station, that's going to wreak all kinds of havoc on your spirit box. If you're right next to a cell phone tower, or even again, just as bad, a TV station, same thing. Or if you're right next door to another guy that's got a ham station or a CB radio, it's going to wreak havoc on your spirit box. So it's just things to be aware of and to be cautious of. Like, for example, any person who goes in downtown Orlando or Chicago or Detroit, downtown in a big city, and tries to do a spirit box is foolish. That's hilarious. Because first of all, it's contaminated as hell, and nothing's going to work right. So it's a total waste of time. You need to trying to be as far away from any kind of electronic interference as you possibly can. So anyway, so I've gone into man-made, I've gone into natural, I've gone to audio recordings, video, and the specialty equipment, the spirit box and the EVP and the REM pod. If you have any questions about any stuff I brought up, like for example, I can do another one of these vlogs. I can do one just on a spirit box, or just on the EVP meter or a REM pod. But I don't, because it depends on how technical you guys want to get into. So that is the end of it. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Had a good weekend, and having a good President's Day. And family, if you have any questions or any critiques or any subjects for the paranormal you want to bring up, please let me know on Facebook. I'm easy to get a hold of. Or want to call or whatever, start a chat. I'm also on Skype all the time. So one of the good things about being retired, you got time on your hands. And maybe even an area you want me to go to. I'm bringing up again, and yes, it is bragging. So far, I've done investigations from as far south I've gone is Cedar Keys, Florida. I've gone up completely up the eastern coast up to Pennsylvania. I plan on going to New England, which is Connecticut and New Hampshire and that kind of area. No, not New York. Don't want to have anything to do in New York. Way too noisy. But so I've gone as far as North Carolina and Pennsylvania for doing it, and different areas, more than I can count. And I've gone as far west as Tennessee. And I am planning on right now some more. Start moving north towards Tennessee, Kentucky. Well, I've done a couple in Kentucky. Kentucky is a fascinating state. Just going to start going west because it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of good people, and you see a lot of beautiful sights. And there is a lot of really incredible stuff to see in the United States. So have a good evening. And I hope this helped out somebody somewhere, someplace. Again, have a good day.